And now, a Shakespeare in the Arb exclusive.
So this is Professor Kate Mendeloff, our wonderful director. How are you, Professor?
I'm fine.
Great, Professor. So how's your experience been here working at the Arb?
Oh, are you talking about this summer?
Yeah, this summer particularly right now. And
well, it's been a wonderful rehearsal process. I've had a great cast. They've been really easy to work with. And the weather was a little daunting during our rehearsal process in May because it rained so much. But we've gotten the benefit of fairly dry weather for the performances, so that's very important.
Yes, it has been very good weather. So in your experiences from the past up until now, is the experience of right now of being at the Arb with the winter still different than your other performances you've had every spring and summer, or is it about the same?
Well, generally it's a lot of fun because you're outside, you're in a beautiful place. The people who choose to do this kind of a production usually are pretty flexible, game, creative people. And so generally it's a really good experience. There have been some years when the cast has been a little bit less easy to work with or hasn't congealed so much as a group.
Right.
But on the whole, it's been a really positive experience, I think, every year.
I had heard while we were waiting once, I think while it wasn't our time to go up and act, Graham, who's playing Leontes, he was telling us that, one year, I think it was, not remembering the play, but he was saying there was this one guy in the cast, he refused to memorize his lines and he would come drunk every time or something. What was the deal with that?
Well, I won't mention his name, but he was having a lot of trouble, psychological troubles.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
and so, yeah, he was actually involved in 2, I think, or maybe even 3 summers, and for the most part he did a great job, but he had some troubles handling himself. Yeah.
I heard he just made up something and the audience said, "What was that?" or something to him one time.
That's possible. Yeah. I could imagine that.
but moving.
But for the most part, people are very good about learning their lines. And I think that one thing I'm very proud of is I think this kind of a process makes actors especially aware of how important understanding what they're saying is. So I've had people say that they understand Shakespeare better in these performances than they do when they go to see even a very high-level production. Because
we do a lot of close readings to understand. If you need to in order to memorize your lines, you need to actually know what Shakespeare is saying and everything. So.
Absolutely. That's part of the process that I think is very important, and it comes across well to the audience.
Right. Now, in your opinion, I know you talked to me about this earlier when we were doing rehearsals, how important is it to read the whole book, even the whole script, the whole play, even though you're not in the whole play?
It's imperative. Every actor needs to read the play, and not just once, but many times. You're in the world of the play, you need to understand how your character and the scenes that you're involved in fit in to the whole play, and you should never work on anything in the theater without understanding it.
That's some wonderful advice, Professor. And tell me, what has your approach been as a director to go about doing this play?
Well, I think my sense of the play, it's certainly broken up into 2 very different worlds. The world of the court in the first 3 acts, and then returning in the 5th act, and then the world of Bohemia and the pastoral sheep shearing section. So when I had worked on the play before, which was a while ago, was in 1978.
Was that when you were at Yale?
I directed the pastoral scene, so I was working on Act 4.
Wonderful.
And so I think that I wanted to work on the other parts of the play that I didn't get a chance to work on, but I had a very good assistant director, Emily, and I worked with her, but then I gave her a fair amount of free rein to work on the other part. I generally do that, and because these plays are so big, and because we're rehearsing in very discrete areas, so we don't have a rehearsal room for the most part, I tend to like to break the action up and have either an assistant director or production manager, like Gail did a lot of assistant directing work, or just to let the actors themselves work by themselves in this site, in the specific site, and then for me to be able to come and see what they've done and give some feedback.
So you felt like internally that I have to put on this play so I can actually see what it actually looks like?
Well, I think that I became very fond of the play.
It is a very nice play.
And it's a play that I was intrigued by and wanted to work on again.
Right.
So,
well, it's good that you got to put it on finally. And this is the first time you've done it for the Shakespeare in the Arb.
Right.
So, tell me, Professor, how did all of this start, the whole Shakespeare in the Arb? And I believe it was 2001, was it, when it started?
Right.
How did it all begin?
Well, the Ford Motor Company gave a grant to the Arb for arts, for 3 years of arts funding, for theater, dance, and music. And so the first year was theater, and the development director at that time had seen my work and contacted me about directing here.
Wonderful.
And I had done an outdoor production of Chekhov's The Seagull in the courtyard of East Quad.
Oh, wow.
That moved in the courtyard, but nothing quite as big as this.
Right.
So she knew I was interested in that kind of environmental staging. And so that first year I considered doing Chekhov, but then I thought, well, what's a play that really is about transforming once you go into the woods? And Midsummer Night's Dream,
correct.
So we did it, and it was so popular that we did it again the following summer. And then this has become a tradition.
And then you did it again last year as well.
And we did it again for the 10th
Which I was fortunate to see.
Yes. No, it's perfect here. But we've done a lot of really interesting things in different settings, different areas of the Arboretum. I try to use different areas as much as I can. So for Winter's Tale, the main valley is an area that I haven't really used before. As extensively. I've never used the steps as a performance area.
Right.
So I try to explore different areas and find different ways to use different areas. So the area where you are the mariner and the scene happens with Antigonus and the bear.
On the hill, right.
On the hill was used as pretty much an entrance. When we did Much Ado, I remember we had people running through those trees and coming down. But as far as really staging several scenes there, that's new. And we take advantage of different things, like a dead tree happened to be in the Magnolia Valley, and that tree has been used for Twelfth Night, and there's several trees that were used in performances that then died and got cut down, which was very painful for me to lose trees that I'd actually staged scenes in. The Arboretum is kind of full now of all these productions in my head. We talk about the Puck trees. Well, those are the trees where Puck and the fairies meet in Midsummer Night's Dream. It's an area where actually the Arb set up fairy houses for children. Because we had our fairies there. So
that's why it says. That's why it's written there now, right?
The fairy garden. So this is kind of symbiotic relationship between the Arb and Shakespeare in the Arb, which I think is very wonderful.
It connects quite well. And there was one production you did where there was there planes or something going above, and you told the cast, well, if something's like that, put your swords up because you want to stay in character.
Tempest, right? And I said, you're on this island at 1610. If you hear a noise, you don't know. Just try to fight it. And so that was always a big hit. Yes,
it works. We haven't done much of that in this play with the.
Well, we did actually. Camillo and Polixenes. I believe it was Chris and Greg. I think. There was a low-flying helicopter came over, the rescue helicopter, and they stopped and sort of looked around. It was a moment in the script where there was could have been a transition. And so they just kind of looked and wondered, and the audience laughed.
So during their sword fighting scene?
No, it wasn't. It was actually when they, just before they started questioning Florizel.
Oh, right. I do remember there was something like that. Yes. There was a pause there.
Right,
yes.
Right. Well, even today you're seeing it's threatening rain. And so one of the real challenges about doing this kind of work outside is you never know, are you going to have the performance or not?
Definitely, because we're not in a conventional theater where it doesn't really matter.
No, exactly. So that's one of the stresses of this job, is being connected to weather.com a lot during the week, and trying really hard to gauge what the weather is going to be, and the environment, the physical environment is so important. Think about when it was 90 degrees, how different that felt as opposed to when it was 50 degrees.
Oh,
and, and the weather changes so much here.
You'd had some cold rehearsal days, I remember, even though it was raining and... What was... in your opinion, what's the difference between doing a play in the Arboretum versus to doing it in a conventional air-conditioned theater such as the Power Center or, the Mendelssohn Theater? What extra do we get out here that we don't get there?
I think we get a lot of extra, because I think that in a theater, the designer and director create an environment for the actors. Usually the actors can't even work in it until the final week before the play goes up.
That is a problem, yes.
So you're working with a sort of makeshift situation, and then the set goes up and you have the environment. But we have the environment the whole time.
Yes.
And our choices are born out of the environment, which I think is very exciting. So you're acting with the environment as much as you are with the other actors.
Right.
And there's a creative relationship between the environment and the performance, which I think is very magical. And the audience, a bird flies by, you see a deer in the woods.
It adds, definitely, yes.
Yeah, the wind blows and some of the fluff from the cottonwoods floats
supports
by,
this particular Winter's Tale play, kind of, in a way. Even though it's not winter, yes.
You never know what it's going to be, but it's always different. And I just really like that. And to me, it makes up for some of the less positive aspects, like the weather or the bugs or whatever. You've got an environment. People are seeing the Arb in a new way.
Definitely.
And that is important to me. Right. The fact that they feel like this place is magic and things are happening here that are very, very special.
Right. And the nice thing is that we get to, every scene changes, the audience gets up, and it's like you have a whole different space you're working with. Now it's not like we're looking at a stage which is the same, they're just changing the set on the stage a little bit, and we don't have to sit in the same spot the whole time, which is nice. So and so Ann Arbor West is also doing something right now they've been doing Tempest and they're doing other Shakespeare plays outside. Versus compared with them to Shakespeare and the Arb, what do we have that they probably don't have? What's so better about us that
Well, we've been doing this. This is the 11th year. This is the first year for them. They're in a shell, a band shell.
Okay.
So they have a stage space.
So they don't move around like us.
They don't. No.
Okay.
No, I think they use the environment around the shell a bit. There are some rocks and things. I haven't seen their production because they've been exactly at the same time
which
as ours.
Nobody could see who's in the show necessarily.
I intend to go later in the summer.
Right.
But the artistic director of Shakespeare West called me and told me he was going to be doing this, and he said I didn't mean to compete.
It just happened like that.
Well, he wanted to do a play every month of the summer.
Okay.
He's actually doing plays through October. And he said that he will always do a play in June that will be experimental.
Right.
Like they're doing The Tempest now with only 5 actors.
Oh wow, that's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so it's not like our plays are meant to be the Elizabethan reality.
True. I think Shakespeare would have been proud of us, because the music, we have live music, and it's not like it is totally different than just going to the theater and seeing it. And I know in Ireland they do something with there's a place called I don't know if it's in Dublin or where, but in like St. Stephen's Green they do Shakespeare in the, I don't know what it is, but it's something like an outdoor environment. Yeah. But I don't know how close it is to our performances.
Right.
But so before we close here, what's one reason why people should come next time, because this run is almost done, next time to see Shakespeare in the Arb from anywhere in the world? What is our universal selling point?
Well, it's a way of experiencing Shakespeare's work in an environment that heightens certainly the natural references in his plays. That's very tangible, very immediate, because you're so close to the actors.
Right.
Emily, let me help you. Hold on a second. Here, hold on.
This is not good.
Hello, good sir.
This is good, but it's going to clear up.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Yeah, so we're hoping if we get an audience, we'll do it. If
the rain totally snuck in.
Have no less prevailed, so on your command.
Yes, I know.
And fear we have landed in ill time.
right, exactly. Okay. Exactly, yeah. So so I think it's just a very unique experience, and it's a way of, like I said, experiencing Shakespeare's world in a very intimate way, but also a very expansive way.
Right.
And appreciating the beauty of nature and the language that Shakespeare bases in nature, particularly in his plays that deal a lot with natural imagery.
Right. Well, definitely. And this is the beauty of the Arb, where rain can easily be an intruder and can easily leave when nobody notices.
Right.
And we were having this lovely conversation, and now it's raining, which is it just tells about how good this place is, the Arboretum. And it's not like you go to a theater and just, it's air conditioning, it's going to be like this the whole night.
Yeah.
No. Well, thank you so much, Professor, for your lovely words, and it was really nice chatting with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, great.
The first rule we learn as an actor: the show must go on. Come rain, come shine, come snow, come sleet, the show must go on. Though I know many things in this world I know I should be happy about. But are we? No! Definitely no! Positively no! Decidedly no!